So here's Dior on day 17, and we are back in the barn again in the cross ties, working on a grooming session. And she is really funny because, again, like this spot, she was kind of adamant that she didn't like, but I convinced her that she clearly likes it now and has made it a nice itchy spot. So I'm just gonna sit here and let her really enjoy it. But it was really funny because the very first time I went to, rub my hand through there, she wanted to bite it, and then I tried to convince her a little bit longer, and then she went, "Oh, it's okay." So that's a little bit like how she is. So I mean, she's been very good, but there are instances where I'm having to make sure that I stay on my toes. Because she is still a Mustang. So that was a nice little scratch session, and I'm going to go back to working on our feet and picking up our feet and just really getting her prepared for the farrier is the goal. And again, trying to get her comfortable with all of the parts of her body and trusting me that it's all going to kind of like feel good and it's not an issue. So going back to letting her get those releases from the scratches. And she just really is enjoying that. And again, just seeing where I can put my hand kind of in between the chest a little bit, because that can sometimes be a no-no spot, but she was handling that pretty well. And I was just going to give her a minute and then go to picking her feet. Now we use this black bucket for when we pick feet to kind of help keep dirt just from being in the wash rack because we have the hoses and stuff, so it's a way to be a little bit more efficient. So she's gotten pretty good about picking up her front feet in doing this, as we've had to do this. She gets this done almost every day, if not twice a day. And so now just working a little bit with getting closer. And then I'm going to give her a reward. I have to go back and refill my cookie, so it's always good to kind of just let her stand for a second. She has a little bit of a moment. Then I'm going to work on the hind feet. This has been a progression, and I've been working on it pretty slowly. And she's starting to get the idea. But I kind of want her to be in the right position. So I readjust her, and then I go to ask again, and she blatantly tried to kick me. But luckily I was in a decent enough spot that she missed me. So that was a no-no. So I told her that was a no, that was not nice. But that's a little bit of what she can be like sometimes when she's unsure and, is telling me that I don't like that. So now I'm going to go back. And I'm keeping myself relaxed because you have to. And I just went back and touched that leg, and then I'll give a reward. I'm going to switch to the other side. She's just feeling a little stuck, but that's all right. And just trying to get the placement of the feet where I want it. So now I'm going to work the the right hind. there's kind of like a sweet spot. In the beginning, it can be nerve-wracking in the beginning handling those hind feet. And again, you can using the rope work, but she's offered no kicking with any of that. It has just been when I had to go in, when you have to kind of get into that space. That's a little bit sometimes the risk that happens. So I try to always position myself where I am not going to be in the direct line of kick. And again, luckily, she missed me. So I'm able to go back and trying to position her in the right spot. And again, it can be about feel, and then she was able to let me lift it and pick it up. Now we're okay. So she got a reward for that, as I was really happy with that progress. And so after that, we moved out of the wash rack, and I decided that we would go kind of hang out in the trailer and she just eat some hay for a little bit, because I think it's always good to just have them go and just stand in. I didn't put her in the placement area. I just wanted her to be comfortable kind of in the middle part here. I have a 6-horse head-to-head, so it can be handy for stuff like this. But we did that, and after she seemed pretty comfortable in there eating the hay, we went out to the big field. And I didn't get any video of the groundwork, but she was pretty spicy with her groundwork. So I decided we needed to go engage our brain a little differently. So I went to my big junk field, and just to introduce her to things so she could learn to engage her brain. She was actually very good for this because she's pretty confident, and so that could have caused a reaction, but she was pretty good about it. So I thought, well, we'll just give it a little walk over the gate. And she gets a little stuck here. And again, apologies that it's a little bit far away because I have the video on the barrel, but there she knocked it over, and that was okay. Like, the reaction that she gave is very typical and very good, actually. And so I'm going to sit here and see if I can ask her to step over it, even though she knocked it over. I'm going to see where our feet are a little stuck. She doesn't quite understand, so I'm going to see if I can move left or right. Sometimes when they're stuck, that can help unlock. And then I'm just going to go back and see if maybe being next to her will help. Nope, we're still stuck. So now I'm going to back her up. I don't want to pull her away from it. You never want to kind of pull them off an obstacle, but you can back them up so they are still in line of it. And then she understood to walk over it. And that's typical as well when I'm jumping a horse and teaching a horse. If they refuse, I'm not going to try to pull them off the fence, but I will try to back them up and then keep the fence kind of in their eyesight. So then they learn, just like this is baby steps of it, but they learn that they can negotiate it very easily. So then we moved to my logs, and she was very good about walking over the logs. And I have kind of a progression. I have like a smaller log, a medium log, and a taller log, so it's kind of fun to play with. So we come to the medium log, and they're getting covered up by weeds, but sometimes it makes for good because the horses spook at them a little bit. Now this is the bigger log, and she's pretty funny because she thought that she needed the snack afterwards. So not too bothered by walking over the logs there. And so I just let her have some time grazing a little bit. You can see she's sweaty from the groundwork that we did, but it was a bit of a warm day, so, and she's got a coat still. So now then, in walking back to the barn, I kind of just had a feeling that it might be a good day to see if I could hop on her bareback. I'm gonna see how far I can feel her out. Because of certain things like the biting and a little bit of the kicking, I've kind of waited for this because I've been on horses a lot quicker than her per se. But she's pretty funny with her forward motion, and I've just worked with trying to stay with her in that moment. So I always like to kind of have a little bit of that left flexion in them, and she really does not mind when my leg gets thrown over on the other side. But the minute she goes into the trot, I'm going to pop right off. But sometimes it's good to use the forward momentum if they're wanting to move forward, but only two, you got to make sure you can keep them soft and keep them in that position, because you don't want to be where they're turning off to the right. And so if you jump off, you're then right in the line of the hind end, and it would be just natural for them to kick. So I always try to keep that flexion left, and I always kind of pop off to the left because it's the safer side for me. And here I'm just going to keep laying down on her neck because again, you're technically not riding them if you're just laying on the neck. The worry can come a little bit when you bring your body straight up in the air. But she's giving me a good feel. She really doesn't care about seeing my body or feeling my leg on the other side. So I gave her a little bit of a bump there. So I wanted to just give me a minute. And here she's just pushing on me a little bit. So I'm gonna push her back some to where she can soften. And then I sat up, went out of view for a second, came back around. So that was all really good. And these, again, it's all really kind of short bursts. And what's nice about her is she's willing to move forward. So sometimes it's harder on the ones that just want to be a little sticky-footed and stand still, that you can't get them to move forward. But for her, movement's pretty natural for her. And here she gives me actually a pretty nice flexion left. So I'm just going to see what she decides to do. And that was really good. So I give her really good rubs. Just let her stand there for a moment. And I was really kind of pleased. You know, today kind of started off a little bit rough with the kick and the wash stall, but then we were able to make lots of progress. And she even let me ride her kind of up to the barn, and then we kind of did some little walks just back to the paddocks and back to the barn. It was a beautiful evening.